we talk about African American history. We research it, we study it, we dig it up, we talk to our ancestors about it. In a way, we talk to the old folks in our family about it. We are looking for all the African American history we can lay our hands on. And believe it or not, what we uncover most times is not something we already know. It's things we didn't know. In some cases, things we suspected, but really didn't have the details to go with it. Welcome to everybody, all members and guests and everyone. As you know, and all of us know, this is Black History Month. We're coming down to the close of it right now, but you know, until what, Monday, I guess, or so, it's still Black History Month. We're celebrating our ancestors' accomplishments, and we're celebrating our history. But we've got to know more about those two things in order to have an adequate celebration. I want to thank the library for hosting this, Bear Library, for us. This is not our first time being here. As a matter of fact, the very first organized meeting this organization had 3 years ago was at this library. We now meet at the Brandywine Library, and you can get information about that from any of our folks that are wearing these blue shirts like this. They are our officers generally of the organization. So if you got a question, ask any of those folks, you know, and if they don't have the answer, they'll get it for you. One of the things that my wife Kitty and I did, and I recommend it to those of you who haven't done it, it's not about this group, but it's about African American history, is go to the movie to see the movie what?
Race.
Race, there it is. See the movie Race. R-A-C-E is playing at the movies right now. You want to go see that. It's in a 1936, I believe, 1936 arena. And who's the young man it's about?
Jesse
Jesse Owens. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Now, especially if you're younger, not old like me, but if you're a younger person and was not a part of things that were happening back then, you want to go see this movie because it gives you a perfect sense as to what was going on in this country during that time. Okay, just a side note, but I did want to mention that to you. I want to say thanks to all the officers of the organization. Again, they tend to be the people with the blue shirts. I'll say hello to them before they're gone today. They put it all together, made all the arrangements, set up all the tables, asked us to bring water and food and whatever else we needed. So it wasn't me, it was all them. So we want to make sure that we give them credit for doing that. We have handouts, we have exhibits, all kinds of things. Here's one I want to mention to you before you get too far. You walk by these too often. This is one I want to mention to you because most of you have seen this little magazine, and it's called Vital. It's a free thing. You've seen it around, I'm sure. You've seen it around. I've been following these folks for about 5 years. Never, ever, ever have I ever seen them do an article like this. I'm going to drop it, but I think the title is something about African American history. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
February is African American History Month. They have never done that kind of an article. So as soon as I saw this, I called the editor, the owner actually, and editor, and she said, "Oh, that's great." She said, "Well, I didn't know. Nobody talked to me about it, but I just thought it might be the right thing to do." And so she did the article. So I said, "Can we get more?" She said, "How many you need? 50, 100? I said, "Yeah, give me about 100 more." So we've got them laying all around here, all over the place. Not for the sake of the magazine, it's not why I'm mentioning it, but because of that article. If nothing else, take this home. Share it with the kids, with the grandkids, with the brothers and sisters, okay? We got plenty of them, we can get more, okay? So take this home. This is local. This is the point I wanted to make. This is a local piece done by a local person, typically with no African American articles in the newspaper. But this one is there because what we do and how much we sensitize people about our history is vital to our existence, okay? So just so you know, take one of those before you go, okay? I mentioned the people with the blue shirts on, and these tend to be our officers, and again, we want to say thanks to them. We also have a number of members here, too, who may not have a blue shirt on today. But when you chat with people, make sure you ask. And feel free to join us, please. Stacy here, raise your hand, Stacy. Stacy is in charge of membership. She's got some forms. She can tell you what the cost is. And the cost basically is to cover our cost of doing this kind of thing, the things that we do. Okay?
Good morning.
Good morning. Anything else, Stacy, on membership?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So I think we're ready. We're up and ready to go. Any questions before we get started? As we start the program, we're going to start to move. Don't forget the exhibitors, by the way, now. This information you see that they have on these posters is real. It's work they've done, not other people, but it's work they've done to uncover their history, and they've got a lot of information about how you can do the same thing. Now, I mention that because they've done the heavy work, okay? All you got to do is follow the instructions, okay? Just talk to one of them, grab some of that information from them, because believe me, they know exactly what to do and how to get back into history of your family, which is really what a lot of this is all about, okay? All right. Now, we will start our program unless there's questions. Any early questions? If not, our first item on the program is a presentation by Florence Collins Hardy, and Florence will lead us in Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The video photographer, you may have to move because you're not going to be able to see my feet. So I don't know if you want to move or not, but I'm asking everyone if you do want to see more of my presentation and what I'm doing. I'm doing an interpretive dance to Lift Every Voice by Jeff Major, who happens to be an African-American harpist, which you don't hear of. And he did his version of Lift Every Voice, and that's what I am going to do this morning. So if you need to stand up, please feel free to move to the side. I have plenty of room up here, and I hope that you enjoy it. This is dedicated to all of our ancestries. As you well know, it was written by Mr. Johnson way back before the 1900s, and then his brother wrote the music. It was a poem first, and then his brother wrote the music. So I hope you enjoy it. And I have it as loud as I can get it, so I hope that you can hear it.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the loud as the roaring sea. Oh yeah, God around me. pass by blind mind. Let us into keep us forever, forever in the past, forever we pray. Oh yes we do. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of a new day, our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. True to our God, true to our native, true to our native land, true to our land, true to Almighty God, true, true to our native land. True to our God.
Very good. Thank you, Lawrence.
Jim, you didn't, I didn't mean, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Jim and I've been knowing each other for, ion years.
I don't
Thank
remember that
you.
part. That was very, very good. But that shows the level of involvement and creativity that people have who are in this organization. We need you too. All the rest of you, we need you too. Every time I run into somebody and start talking about this, I find out they know a lot more than I do about it, just not sharing it. That's why we need you, because we need you to share it. And I noticed that there's one, at least unless I missed someone, two, I'm sorry, I see two young ladies in this audience. Maybe three. One here, looks like maybe two back there. Maybe two?
And a young man.
And young men, three, 4 people, is that right? 4 young people. First time I heard this song, I was about their age. Never forgot it. So, I mean, my point is we gotta share this stuff. We gotta share it, we gotta give it to them. Let them absorb it, let them take it on. Let them understand it. Teach them what it means. We gotta do that. How else are you going to have an informed next generation of our people moving along, along the clock of time? We have to do that. Okay, so next time, please, next time we get together, bring more young people. We need them. As you'll see on our trifold, I think there's a little slogan there. Have you got one of those? What's a little slogan on the front? Anybody see that little slogan? What does it say? Let's read it together. Come on, what does it say? We do all this for our ancestors and future generations. How else are we going to do it? And why else would we do it? Okay? We could be out playing golf, right? Sure. But why we're here doing this is because we know it's important to the future generations. Okay, enough of me. Owen, from the library, thank you for letting us use the place.
Thank you, Jim.
And so,
Appreciate that rousing introduction. And Lawrence, that was a delightful interpretive dance. Thank you. Welcome everyone to Bear Library. This is part of your Newcastle County Library System, the government in action. We also believe in having an informed next generation, and that's what we do here every day at your county libraries. We're also part of the state of Delaware libraries, and if you have a Delaware Public Library card, a Newcastle County Public Library card, the things I'll talk about are available to you every day, and almost all of them are also available to you from home on your computer. I plan public programming at the libraries, and if you have any ideas for public programs, you can contact me. My name is on here, and this is my email address. But I also work at the desk, the information desk here at the library, and it's an information desk for very good reasons, because that's where you come if you need information about anything. We don't know everything, but we know how to find out. So if you have ideas for programs, come see me. This is part of our winter genealogy series. This is the 5th in a series that we held here at Bear Library this winter, and we'll do another series in 2017. This is also part of our African-American History Month series. We had 8 programs here at Bear and nearly 50 programs around the county during the month of February. This is the next to the last program in that series. Tomorrow's program with Syl Wolford on African-American women's groups is the final program here at Bear for this February series. Now, we do African-American history all year round, and we don't just limit it to February. So, for instance, this coming month, and you'll find that in your Newcastle County Happenings Program Guide, which I hope everybody got copies of. Please take extra copies for your friends. It just streeted today. We have a program later this month on Harriet Tubman. And I don't want to upstage the presentation that you all are holding today on Harriet Tubman, but I think you'll find this program is going to have some new and very exciting information about Harriet Tubman's life and her good work. And I think we should all be proud, whether we're African Americans or not. It's March 20th at 2 p.m. That's a Sunday afternoon. Tomorrow's program is also at 2 p.m. I hope you can come. So I'm going to talk to you just for a moment about genealogy. If you are into genealogy, the easiest way to get information is to come to the library, but you can also access it from the Newcastle County website, right here. Click on the databases. The database link is at the home pages on every county library website. And then you want to go on the databases page to e-media. Databases, e-media, and then you'll see genealogy. Now, there's a wealth of information there. And it includes Heritage Quest, which you normally have to pay for. Family Search, and we're going to hear more about Family Search today. The United States Census, the Delaware Public Archives, a whole series of finding aids, and we also have Ancestry.com Library Edition available. That's the one link that you can't access from home is the Ancestry.com Library Edition. You need to do that here at the library. But it is free. The county pays for it. The state pays for it. So you don't have to pay for it individually. And it works almost the same as the one that you would pay $30 or $40 for at home. So look into that if you're into genealogy. If you just want to know about history of your ancestors or just history in general, this is a great place to start. NewcastleCounty.org, nccde.org, databases, e-media, and there you'll see genealogy right at the top of the page. If you have questions about this, if you're not sure, if you get stuck on anything, call any county library information reference desk. We'll be glad to help you on the telephone. Stop by and see us, We have computers in the library. They're free. You can use them with your library cards. You don't even have to buy a computer to get this information. Come see us, we'll help you. I don't want to take any more time away from the fine presentations that have been put together by the Delaware Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society. I thank their board for doing this for us. I contacted them about 6 months ago, and since then they have spent a huge amount of time and effort putting this program together. But I do want to direct you to, in the library today, we have displays up on African-American history. We have displays on genealogy, and they include dozens of books and movies and television programs that you can pick up and check out with your library card. So when you're done, check out our displays. They're right outside here. As you come in the front door, they're on the left and on the right underneath the big TV screens where you see all the programs that are happening at the library today. Also, I'll remind you once again to grab copies of the Happenings Guide. It just came out today. It's got all the March, April, and May programs, and it begins with tomorrow's program. The first program in there is the Women's History program, African American women's groups. That also kicks off our Women's History Month, which is March. Once again, we do history. There are several more programs in here that you might be interested in. Come see us at the information if you have questions. Finally, feedback forms. They're on this lectern up here, and they're back at the door. If you have any ideas, if you want to let us know how we're doing, we appreciate all the feedback you can give us, whether positive or negative. Fill out a form, drop it at any of our desks. It'll make its way back to me. That's how we know if we're doing a good job and how we can do a better job for you. Once again, I welcome you all, and I thank you for your attention.
Very good. Thanks, Owen. One of the other things that always kind of excites me is what we call the spoken word. And make a long story short, yeah, come on up. We got seats. We got seats up here. You guys can stay in the front. We got another chair for them?
Here you go.
Here we go.
Here's one for you, buddy.
Slide one right in there.
It's got your name on it, I see.
Now I feel better. Yeah, that's good. That's good. The spoken word activity, to me, is about a high level of creativity about sensitive or major topics. Crystal Baynard Norman, who's with us and one of our members and part of our executive committee, has a presentation to do today. And she's going to do it, I believe, Crystal, you're going to talk about Harriet Tubman. Is that right? Yes. Okay, you're on.
Lord. I'm gonna sit this right over here. They won't let me light it no ways. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. I tell you what, it was a long trip back down here. But I thank God that He allowed me, at least my spirit, to return. You see, because the Bible says 3 scores plus 10, well, I'd have been 70. But we all know, those that study their history know I left here when I was 93. So I thank God for allowing me to return. Now before I get started, I need to thank 3 people. I need to thank First I need to thank God again for allowing me that favor to be able to come back here to speak to our young people and some of our adults. Because I know you're hiding back there, but you ain't been studying either. You don't know much of your history either. But you need to get started. You need to start today. All right. Now, I also want to thank, Mr. Jones and the Delaware chapter of the African American Historical Genealogy, Lord Jesus, Society, for allowing me to be on their program today. I really want to thank them for that. And now the last person I want to thank is Crystal Baynard Norman. I've been with her all month long. We've been in different churches, for different organizations, and she allowed my spirit to reside in her body. And when you get a chance, I want you to look back there at my glamour shot she drew. I ain't got near a smile, but maybe I wasn't happy, I don't know, but she did a picture of me, and in my shoulders is the Underground Railroad. And boys and girls, that was not a railroad with trains and tracks. That was safe houses and places that you could go to help you get to the next spot in your journey to be free, okay? Now, I was born in 1821, 22, 23. And then the reason for that is because they really didn't have any documentation or any certificates. They didn't care when we was born. Only thing they worried about was we healthy and was it a boy or a girl, you understand? Because they needed us to take care of the land, so anything else, it really didn't matter. But that's when they say I was born, so I'm okay with it. And I was born in Bucktown, Maryland, on the eastern shore. That's where I was born. And when I was born, I need to see the hand of who know my real name. Okay, I see it back there. I see it back there. What was my name, baby?
Araminta.
There you go. My name was Araminta. And they called me Minty. And when I got about 12, 14, I changed it to Harriet. That was my mama name. She's married to Ben, that was my daddy. And it was 11 of us. Lord Jesus, we was taking up some space, you hear me? Taking up some space. But to you young people, what I want you to know is that when your parents ask you to do something, you need to jump to it. Cause my first job, I was 5 years old, 5. I had to babysit, I had to feed the baby, I had to rock the baby to sleep, and while I'm rocking the baby, I'm just a kid. So what I do? Fall off to sleep, but I woke up to the tune of that whip. She whooped me so bad, they had to put me in the back of the wagon 3, 4 times and carry me on home. And my mama nursed me back to health. Well, Mr. Bodas decided that was not the job for me. So he took me off of that, and I started doing a lot of things around the house, you know, helping out in the kitchen with my mama and outside helping to hang up the clothes and all that stuff. Then when I got about 12 years old, 4 o'clock in the morning, some of y'all just turning over. But I was up, dressed, no shoes, no socks on, out there in water up to my waist, checking muskrat traps, trying to see if they was full or not. Me, 12 years old, can you imagine? No, you can't imagine, because you sleep in the bed. You sleep in the bed. Well, we slept on the floor. First bed I saw, I was grown, and I had escaped. You need to know that I was on my way up north. That lady took me in that room. I saw that. I couldn't even visualize what it was. She told me, that's where you gonna sleep at tonight, with covers and everything. Okay, so then, one time, one of the overseers had captured one of the slaves that had run away. And so he told me to help tie him up. Picture that. I looked at him like he done lost his mind. I wasn't about to do that. So I got in the way, and he threw a weight. See this scar up here on my forehead? Yeah, he threw a 2-pound weight, hit me right in the head. My mama said I was out for about a week. They thought I was dead. But I began having headaches and falling off. I'd be talking to you, and in the middle of the conversation, I fall off to sleep. But I believe that the Lord was dealing with me. He was giving me vision and insight, showing me what he was going to have me to do. And long story short, 19 trips, 300 slaves. Hallelujah, I was able to save. I became a scout. I was the mistress of disguises. I would begin to put on men's apparel, look like a man, look like I was in the army. I would look like a lady that could read. They said I was illiterate, whatever that means. But in my mind, I know I couldn't read and I couldn't write, but I could pay attention. I could follow trails and tracks. and nobody ever got lost. And please don't think horrible of me with my shotgun. Because if you read and you research, you know I never had to use it one time, but I would if I had to. Because you was either going to be a dead free person, or you was going to come on with me and go on down the line up there to Pennsylvania. When I got up there, I told them I wanted to become a conductor. Well, they looked at me like I was crazy too, because I wanted to go back and bring my family. And I did that under their protests. Also, boys and girls, I was the first African American to be buried as a female with military honors. Yes, I was, because I helped them to free 700. I helped them to ambush. You see, I did a whole lot that people don't know about. And by the way, I had a little girl, we adopted her, and her name was Gertie. You didn't know that either, did you? Been studying history. Don't let your history be a mystery. And you know what? My chariot about to swing low, and I got to go, because they said I can't come back, you know, looking like this. But I got to go get ready. But I want y'all to study, starting today. Find you a hero in your own family. You thought I was going to say me and Frederick Douglass, one of us. No, look in your family. You got plenty of rich history. Ask your mama and them. Get some information. Worry Mr. Jones and these people with them blue shirts to death. Find out what's going on from the day you was born. And I certainly thank y'all for taking the time.
She is good. We got a pop quiz question. I'm just curious to know, this is my own thing, but I'm just curious to know, how many people know where in what state Harriet Tubman is buried? I see 2 hands. 3, 4, 5, okay, 5, maybe 5 hands. Somebody tell the crowd. New York. She's buried in New York, state of New York. What's the city? Auburn, New York. You ever get up that way, stop by the Tubman home, okay? All righty, moving along. And thanks to Crystal for that. She amazes me every time I see her do something. She's just so good with it. Another special project we've got is the Family History Center presentation. I'm going to let each person involved introduce themselves. But it's a Freedmen's Bureau project. Now, I'm gonna guess that not many people know what the Freedmen's Bureau thing was all about. You may, I'm not sure, but we brought some folks in who do know. And they're gonna share with us all the details about the Freedmen's Bureau. They're gonna talk about what the Latter-day Saints are doing in relationship to uncovering information, et cetera, et cetera. And I would like to introduce, well, on my list here, I've got Wynn and Pam John.
Let's go with Flora.
Pam's in St. Louis with grandkids this weekend. So I have able helpers here.
Okay, come on up.
We'll start off.
I didn't see her, so.
I can use your podium if that's all right. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today. My name is Flora McConkey, and I'm a public affairs specialist in the Philadelphia region of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You may know us more commonly as Mormons. And our church sponsors Family Search. This is a nonprofit service, and it's the largest genealogical organization in the world, and provides free access to billions of records online and a network of almost 5,000 family history centers, 3 of which are in Delaware, in Newark, Wilmington, and Dover. They are staffed by volunteers who are happy to assist you with your genealogical research. Just yesterday, Vice President Biden visited our family history library in Salt Lake City. And while he was there, he was presented a great gift, his personal family history. There's an article on the back of our table if you want to take a look. Our church's commitment to helping people discover their ancestors is rooted in our beliefs that family is meant to be central to our lives and that those family relationships extend beyond the grave. We'll show more information about Family Search in just a moment. But it was our pleasure to host an information. I'm going to give you a little background here on our relationship here with the organization that's sponsoring today's event. It was our pleasure to host an information table at the about Family Search at the first African-American genealogical workshop that was held at the Delaware Historical Society back in 2012. And then it was our pleasure to attend the very first meeting that Jim referred to, I think here in this very room, right, to help organize the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society here in Delaware. I think that was in 2013, and it's been exciting to observe the growth of this organization. So congratulations to the great work that's going on in the first state. Family Search has partnered with the Smithsonian, the National Archives, the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, and the California African American Museum for the Freedmen's Bureau Project. It's a volunteer effort to bring thousands of stories of freed Civil War era African Americans to light. In fact, I wish Harriet had left her little lantern up here, because that's what this is all about, bringing these wonderful stories to light. After the Civil War, the government of the United States created the Freedmen's Bureau to support newly freed African Americans with things like schools, hospitals, refugee camps, food and clothing rations, and assistance with legal and labor issues. It was in existence for 7 years, and during that time, 1.5 million historical documents were created. That treasure trove has not been available, easily accessible, and certainly not in a searchable online kind of database. And the goal of the Freedmen's Bureau Project is to make all those records available online, free of charge, searchable, in time for the opening of the Smithsonian's new Museum of African American Culture and History, or History and Culture, in Washington, D.C. this fall. Now, about 15 years ago, records from the Freedmen's Bank, okay, which is a private organization, the Freedmen's Bank, not the Freedmen's Bureau, which is a government organization. So 15 years ago, records of the Freedmen's Bank were made available online in a searchable database for the first time. That project to index and digitize those records took 11 years. And most of the work was done by about 500 inmate volunteers at the Utah State Prison. The goal of the Freedmen's Bureau Project, this is the Bureau now, not the bank, is to do this in 1 year. And we're just about at the halfway point. It's a volunteer effort, and volunteers are still needed, particularly those who have ties to these stories. There are currently over 16,000 volunteers worldwide working on this project, and we just indexed our 1,000th record, but there's still much work to be done. Now, what do I mean by indexing? Volunteers, using their home computers, look at an image of a historical document, usually in very fancy, beautiful cursive handwriting, and they take information, names, dates, places, from that document and type it into an online form that eventually becomes part of this searchable database. And there is help available to learn how to volunteer, and we'll get to that in a bit too. These are stories of African Americans that have not been discovered or told, and they need to be. And so we invite you, individuals, organizations, faith communities, groups, to volunteer for as little or as much time as you like, and the work can be done again from your home computer. The project kickoff was last year in California on Juneteenth, the 150th anniversary of Juneteenth. And we were pleased to partner with the Delaware Historical Society for a local kickoff event. In fact, Jim and Kitty Jones were there representing the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society. And a letter from Mrs. Markell was read. It was a great event. That local event came about because of the enthusiasm of local Latter-day Saints, your Mormon friends and neighbors, who were excited about this project and greatly desired to share it with Delawareans. And through the relationships that we built with the Historical Society and AAHGS. Following that event, the News Journal did an excellent report on the event and on the project, and provided information on our family history centers where you can go for help with your own family history or to volunteer for this project. And then a few weeks later, Delaware's NPR, national radio station, also covered the project. In January of this year, as Martin Luther King Day approached, we shared the project on social media, and the meme that was created here by our teenage daughter was shared on Facebook and blogs and via email and probably through many other sources. And we invited folks to participate in a virtual day of service, to volunteer from home for the Freedmen's Bureau Project. And this was in partnership with the Greater Philadelphia King Day of Service, which is the largest and oldest in the nation. In addition, we hosted an information table about the project, at the African-American Museum in Philadelphia that weekend, and at the King Day of Service, along with workshops about the project. We hoped to encourage young people to become involved in the effort, and I'm so excited to see the young people here today. Often, they have the computer skills that we lack, and we have the ability to read some of that fancy cursive handwriting that's on these historical documents. So we would encourage you to make this a multi-generational effort and to serve together at your home computer. You will be amazed at the stories that you discover and the things you learn about these wonderful people from the past. Recently, the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper and Philadelphia's NBC TV station did stories on a group of Chester, Pennsylvania youth who learned about the project over the King weekend and accepted the challenge to index 10 hours of Freedmen's Bureau records. And it has been so exciting to observe their enthusiasm that's grown about the project, but also about their own family histories as they participated in this project. Last week, we were back at the African-American Museum in Philadelphia for another event. We were pleased to have the Philadelphia president of chapter of African-American Historical and Genealogical Society there, and a surprise guest, the genealogy specialist for the new Smithsonian. Hollis Gentry is her name, and the day before she said she could come. She's pictured in the red there on the right, and it was wonderful to see her enthusiasm for this project. She had attended the kickoff in California, and her passion for the project and for what it means for African American historical research and family research was wonderful to observe. Once completed, this project will unlock the records of millions of Civil War era African Americans, bringing their stories to light. We invite you to stop by our information table in the back. If you didn't pick up one of these little folders already, you're welcome to grab one until we run out. And we invite you to visit one of our family history centers to learn more about the project, or maybe get a little coaching as you begin indexing. And we invite you to volunteer for the Freedmen's Bureau project. We'll now hear from two of our local family search volunteers. First, Doug Ennis, who's the director of our Newark Family History Center, and then Wynn John, who's a local Freedmen's Bureau specialist. And feel free to ask questions during and after their presentation. And thank you, it is great to be with you today.
Thanks, Flora. As Flora mentioned, my name is Doug Ennis, and I'm the director of the Newark Family History Center. I'm happy to be here and share some of the information about the Freedmen's Bureau project and progress that's being made, and how you can help volunteer and help index these records so that they can then become easily searched online. We're going to play a short video, just a 2 or 3 minute video to kick this off, and then we'll get into a little bit more about what indexing is and a couple of other terms that are mentioned in the video, and then how you can get involved. It worked this morning.
Shortly after the Civil War ended, some 4 million slaves were said any place to stay, any place to sleep, or any food to eat, had it not been for the concept of the Freedmen's Bureau.
It was a very scary thing for the freedmen at that time because there was no sense of protection.
They're working sometimes for the same person who had enslaved them, who was not excited about paying money to the same people whose labor he had had for free for decades. That was an adjustment, and that brought about the need for someone to intervene and to be a go-between between former slaveholder and those once enslaved.
The government felt that they needed to bring some order to this chaos, and in that process created the Freedmen's Bureau.
His primary mission was to assist the former slaves in making this transition from slavery to freedom.
It provided them an opportunity to get work permits, to find work, started schools called Freedmen Schools. What became even more important for us now was that they not only asked them their individual names, but they asked them questions about their background, who they had been slaves with, who their parents were, who their spouses were, who their children were, where they were born.
One could argue that the Freedmen's Bureau records are some of the most valuable records to study the Afro-American family.
It makes a difference to know where you come from and who you come from, because when you know where you're coming from, then you can design where you are going.
I had a conversation with a friend and he said, you know, black genealogy is not fun. You can't find anything. I'm a novice when it comes to family history research, but I've hit that wall, that time period where there's no documentation of your family anymore.
The African-American community through slavery was split up, divided. Families were torn apart. We don't know who our family really is or from where we originated.
African Americans get back to 1870 and they can't go beyond that. So you'll hear a lot of African Americans say the records don't exist because of slavery, or I can't find my family tree, or should I give up?
As African Americans, everything has been said, oh, there are no records. We don't have any history. We can't document anything. Well, it turns out that's not true.
The Freedmen's Bureau project is really designed to take records and actually make them searchable online for individuals trying to research African American family history in the United States.
There were well over 1 million documents in those records. So we're talking about a lot of material, a lot of stories, and if we don't digitize them and index them, nobody's gonna know.
We need to make these records available to everyone. We need everyone's help to make these records available to everyone, because they will provide a window to identify your family in their records and to move back into that pre-1865 time period.
You have to go back to the past in order to understand the future. It helps us understand, why do I do what I do? Why do I act like this? Why do I feel this way?
Being able to say, I know where I came from. It's a sense of identity. It's looking at that ancestor and saying, look at them, they survived. It's because of what they did, I'm here today.
If they made it through, then I can too. My future can become bright. I don't have to be stuck in the past, but I need to know the past so that I can get through my future and make a better life for me.
Everything that we are is because of them. It is vitally important to know that you're here for a reason.
This is a chance for us to learn our story and then tell it to the world in a way that it has not been told before.
Those records that are not indexed can make that connection between a former slave and their master, which is the critical connection that African Americans need to do slave ancestral research.
To have this information on index where you could type in your ancestor's name and that name can come up and that document can come up, it means so much.
The project is to really solicit volunteers from around the country to help us actually transcribe these records and make them searchable so individuals like myself can find their own families in these records.
Why not participate in this project to make it easier for not only you but future generations to find this information and really tell and create that story about their family history?
We're helping to rebuild or reconnect to our ancestors, so we all need help. And you can help and provide that help by getting involved with the project.
Get involved with this project. It's worth it. It's worth all the time and energy that it will take to get this project off the ground.
Okay, three terms I want to talk about. One, digitizing, that was mentioned in the video. Two, indexing. And then a third that we haven't heard yet is arbitration. So first of all, who knows what digitizing is? Okay, digitizing is taking those paper records, whether it's the records from the Freedmen's Bureau or any paper document, vital document, marriage record, birth record, christening record, anything you can think of that would be considered a record, and taking a digital image of that with some sophisticated equipment. And Family Search has hundreds of teams around the world imaging all these paper documents. And the Freedmen's Bureau was one of those projects that Family Search imaged. So now we have a digital image of a record. But in order to search that, you'd have to go through all those digital images trying to find a name or just a bit of information that you were looking for. It would take you hours to go through all those images. Very, very difficult process. So now if we can index that record, in other words, we pull out pertinent information, first name, last name, gender, place of birth, year of birth, all those little bits of information, and put that into a searchable database. Now, when you go to Family Search or Ancestry or any number of other search sites and put in some information, then that will instantly pull up the records that have those bits of information in them. So instead of taking hours of poring over digital records images, these searches are done in fractions of a second. And then typically you'll have a large list of results, and you can go through that list of results and find the ones that are pertinent to you. So the indexing is critical to any kind of genealogical research. And for any of you who have done genealogical research in the past, you've benefited from other people indexing those digital records. In the past, we would have to, as I said, either go through digital images that had already been digitized, or microfilm or microfiche, where you would just sit for hours in a microfilm or a microfiche reader trying to find that name that you're looking for. And now that's done in seconds. So thirdly, the term that I mentioned is arbitration. So you might think as an indexer, you're the only one that's indexing that record. It's not true. There's always going to be two people indexing a record. So as you're going through and you're saying, my goodness, that's a difficult, I can't figure out what that says, or I'm just not sure. There's just somebody else who's doing that same record, and maybe they see it a little bit differently. So you put down one thing and they put down something else. And once those two records have been completely indexed, a third person gets involved, and that's the arbitrator. So when there are differences between the results of this indexer and that indexer, the arbitrator looks at the two of them and says, okay, this one says this one says that. I think this one is more correct according to what I can see, or maybe neither one is correct and the arbitrator makes a difference. So don't worry, if you're going to be doing indexing, don't worry that, well, I just don't know what to put down. Index it to the best of your ability, and rest assured that somebody else is indexing, and then you've got a third set of eyes there to determine which is the most accurate of those two indexes. So those are the three things that are so critical to taking paper records and converting them into a digital record that then can be searched online. So get involved. And how do we do that? Of course, volunteer, because Family Search, everything that Family Search does worldwide is on a volunteer basis. Now, down in the lower right-hand corner, you see the 39%. This slide was put into this presentation probably a couple of months ago, I guess, Wynn. And actually, that's the completion of the Freedmen's Bureau project at that time. Wynn has a slide that was put in.
We'll go to the live.
Yeah, we'll go right to the live to the web page, and I think we're at 56% now, so just over half. And as Flora mentioned, we're trying to get this done by September, when the museum opens in Washington. So volunteer now. So what do we do? How many of you have been on Family Search? Okay, good many. How many have a Family Search account? Okay, because you can go to Family Search and do searches without having signed up for an account. How many have done indexing? Okay, just a couple. All right. So in order to index, you have to sign up for a for a family search account. This will walk us through the steps, and then I'll talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks for helping make the records of the Freedmen's Bureau freely searchable online. Your efforts are making it possible for more African Americans to discover their family's story. Transcribing the records, or what we call indexing, begins by downloading the free Family Search indexing software. Once the download's complete, you'll see this new icon on your desktop. Just double-click it and sign in with your Family Search account username and password. Don't have a username yet? Just click this button and fill out the information. Then go to your personal email account and click the activation link sent from Family Search. Next, open the indexing program and sign in with your username and password. Supply a little more information, like the name of any genealogical group or society that you might be part of, and agree to the software terms and conditions. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to watch the video provided to learn how to index. When you're ready, click the Download Batch button. Make sure you select Show All Projects, and then scroll down and look for any U.S. Freedmen's Bureau projects. Select a project and click OK to download a batch of Freedmen's Bureau documents to index. Take your time, have fun, and know that your efforts will make a huge difference for many people in discovering their family history.
Okay, easy to sign up, right? Let me just mention a couple things. Family Search account is free. We're never going to ask for any money for your Family Search account. You're not going to get emails from Family Search. It's just, that's what you need to have in order to access the indexing program. Once you log into, or the indexing program will reside right on your computer so that you can index at home without any problems. Now, I will mention that the Family History Center in Newark has an indexing day at the center the second Saturday of every month from 10 until 2. So if you haven't done any indexing before, you want to get started, you're just not quite sure how to do it, that Saturday is designated as our indexing day. But you can come to the center in Newark as well as the center in Wilmington to get started, and there will be volunteers there that can help you sign up for a Family Search account if you don't have it, and then help you get started with indexing. Now, let me mention one thing about indexing. Some records are a little bit easier to index, some are a little bit more difficult to index. Some of the Freedmen's Bureau project records are a little on the more difficult side, but that doesn't mean that they can't be done, because they can be done. As we've mentioned, there have been over 1 million that have been indexed so far. But if you've never indexed before, they are a little bit on the difficult side. When you go to the indexing site, you'll see that they're rated expert, intermediate, and beginner. And if you're starting out, you want to start with the beginner records. They're a little bit easier to index. The handwriting's a little bit more legible, perhaps not as difficult in terms of what fields are being asked for, are a little bit easier to understand. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And don't get discouraged. There's plenty of people in the area that can help you with indexing, and there's a help tab on Family Search that you can get live help. You can do a chat, you can email if you have questions about indexing. It's a critically important part of doing genealogical research. I'm going to do just a brief live demo of how to index a record. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like when you see a record and what we're going to look for. So I'm going to just grab a chair here and run this live for us. Oops. So we're going to go to indexing and do a little test drive. Okay, So now we're going to see the record is here at the top of the screen. They've highlighted the first name and the middle name. Although when you're indexing a record yourself, in real time, you're not going to have that red box that highlights